Welcome Strategy Battle Gamers to another great British Hobbit League production. As always, you are here with James.
And Jamie. And today... Oh, go on, you can introduce the video. Introduce what the video is going to be called.
What's he playing at?
Get him jumping mode, guns. jumping in the lines, even.
Today, we are going to be bringing you another video which is about the rules changes from the Lord of the Rings strategy battle game to the Hobbit strategy battle game. Specifically designed to encourage those players who may be given Lord of the Rings a go in the past but want to know what is different and what is better about the Hobbit and why you guys should be giving it a go. What we're going to be talking about today, Jamie?
We're going to be talking about the special strikes that have been introduced for all models across the board. Now, in the old rules, there were only the very few select weapon types. There was your single-handed weapon, double-handed weapon, a lance, and an elven blade. And that was it, really. That's as good as you're going to get. Oh, and spears. They're just... Yeah, ignore the spears.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about today.
Today we're talking about special strikes. Now these apply to whatever weapon your model is holding. So, all those varieties of weapons that are out there now do something specific. So,
and this is very specific to what you see is what you get. So it has to be on the model.
Has to be on the model. Right. Yeah. You can't just go in, oh, this game he's got an axe because it's really going to benefit me against your high defense models. Right. It's got to be whatever's there you're going to get to play with. So this special strike we're going to look at is called Bash. Now with this one, if you win the duel roll, or the fight roll as it used to be called, so if you win the fight, you can elect to bash. Now what this does is you both roll a d6 and add your strength value to this. If you're using a two-handed whatever weapon it is, you get to add +1. And whoever gets that, if you get the highest, you knock the model prone. You knock it over.
Well, okay. So why would you choose to do that and not kill the model?
A very good question. And I'm sort of...
Firstly, what weapons?
Okay, we'll tell you the weapons, because fuck you, GW. Please don't sue us. You can do this with hammers, maces and mauls. So, as you might guess, you're going to bash the opponent and knock them over.
Okay.
Situations this can be useful for, I would assume, let's say you're against a big model, like a monster. You've got a very low chance of actually knocking them over with it, if you're just a regular guy. But if you do knock them over, everyone else in the fight with you is going to get double strikes. You might also do this against heroes, because you want to knock them over and you haven't trapped them. That's sort of like the only time I can see it being useful. Or if you're against mounted models.
Yeah, I got a specific question the other day on one of the forums from Stormcrow on the One Ring, and he sent me a message saying that he wanted to know a little bit more about Bash for his Grimhammers. Now, the advice that I gave him, and I've not really been playing the hobby too long, is the only situation where I can see this could be useful is if you're already outnumbering an opponent and you've got other options as well, because why wouldn't you opt to strike? Why wouldn't you opt to strike? Unless what you're trying to do is maybe against a higher defense model is have more chances to kill them in the first place. So you might try and bash with one model, get him knocked prone, and then with the other models, you know,
a piercing strike, which we'll come on to later on.
Yeah, so that's the only situation scenario that I can see that is there. But one of the good things about this is it does add another layer of thought to the game. I think that this one, probably, I'm sure you
probably get looked over a little bit in favour of the more direct damage attacks.
Yeah, and I think it's probably a special strike that if it's going to be used, it probably needs to be tweaked in the rules a little bit. Maybe to make it easier to execute. And if it's easier to execute, people are going to be more likely to think, well, I'll do that because then maybe I've got more chance to get the next turn instead of just going for the kill now.
Because if you think about it, if you roll a 6 or a 5 or even a 4 on that strength roll, you could have killed the model.
Yeah. And
you'd be gutted that you didn't just roll the dice to kill it.
Yeah, and that's the problem with that one. So we are going to move on to the next one. Now the next one is Feint. Now this is probably one that you are going to see the most.
Yes, it's be the most common.
This is going to be the most common.
Well, firstly because pretty much most models, besides very specific factions, are armed with swords.
Yeah.
It's the weapon that everyone uses.
Yeah.
Like, it's just there.
Yeah, it's a sword.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a sword.
That's everyone's granddad has a sword.
Everyone's granddad has a sword.
I've got a sword at home. It also can be used for daggers, and you see quite a lot of the time models might have their big two-handed weapon and a small dagger at the side. So you go, oh well, they're going to feint because they've got the hand weapon on them.
Yeah, a lot of the time you might see a model that's maybe wielding a spear or like a throwing spear in Rohan. So a Royal Guard, for example, he might have a throwing spear in his hand, but he is actually modelled with a sword at his side. So because this is special strikes is a what you see is what you get kind of rule, then it does mean that they can do this special strike. So let's talk you through what this does in the first place.
Let me take over?
Go for it.
Okay.
That's what you're here for.
With this feint special strike, you before the fight roll, you lower your fight value by D3, so potentially bringing you down to fight value 1 as minimum. You can never go below fight value 1. But if you do win the fight, subsequently, you get to reroll 1s to wound.
Now,
so it's essentially poison for everyone.
It's essentially poison for everyone. The reason why you're going to see this a lot is that in any fight where you are lower fight value and you have a sword or a dagger, you may as well. Or if you are supported by
someone of the same fight value as you or higher, then you've got no reason not to feint.
Yeah, it's effectively giving everybody with a sword or a dagger the poison rule in a situation where you're up against something which is higher fight value, that you're not going to beat it if you match the dual roll anyway, or if you're supported by something which is, or in the same fight as something which is going to take that fight for you anyway.
This is one that we've got a bit of a gripe with, isn't it? Because feint is, let me read you the description for it. So, swords are weapons that can be truly deadly in the hands of a trained fighter. Whether the weapon is formed of 3 feet of sharpened steel, such as the blades forged in Gondor, a long slender scimitar of the elves, etc., or the dwarven make or blade or whatever. So basically, the fluff for this is that skilled fighters can use feint to get the upper hand on their enemies.
But that is a contradiction with the rule, because the people who are going to be using this are guys of a lower fight value. Now we've probably got a little bit of a solution for this. We think that we've found a solution, and I know that my idea was that feint, really, you should only be able to do feint if you are matching or a higher fight value
than your
opponent. So it brings an element of risk to it. You know, well, do I do it? Don't I do it? You might do it then if you're supported.
Yes, yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense to still do it. But what you're not getting is effectively giving loads of rubbish troops with low fight value poison.
Essentially, goblins. You get your front rank, 20 goblins, all feinting, all with poison, and on the odd fights they do win, they're suddenly getting a greater chance to wound, which for absolutely nothing. Like, their lower fight value is, in this sense, a benefit to them.
Yeah. Which obviously doesn't make too much sense. So that would probably be our solution. I think one of the things you're going to find with special strikes, and probably one of the positive things from a hobby point of view, is that you will get people thinking about how they're modelling their models. Right, am I going to put a sword in there? So for example, with my Warriors of Erebor, because they're already high defence, I'm already thinking, well,
perhaps I should just have them feinting, because you don't want to risk anything else.
Yeah, let's have them feinting. I don't want to risk the defence if I lose the combat. So let's have them feinting. Let's give them a sword, because the fight value of the guys behind with the spears
is going to make up for it.
Going to make up for it. So that's feinting. If you've got ideas about feinting, if you think that it's a positive or a negative, or if you agree with our solution, make sure you leave a comment below. Now, on our next video about the comparisons between the Hobbit rules and the Lord of the Rings rules for more special strikes information. As always, this has been James and
Jamie, and make sure you're sharing and subscribing the video, guys.
Happy strategy battle gaming.